Good day, everyone. Welcome once again to this session with fathers. We are grateful for all that has been happening since this session started. We are delighted at the responses, the engagements we are getting from fathers. It just goes to show that fathers are interested in doing better. They want to know better, they want to do better. And we are excited because if fathers buy into this, we're going to see a whole new order in our society, in our families. And that for me will be one change that we all desire to see. Now, this morning again, we'll be looking at one story in the Bible and draw up a few lessons. So I encourage every one of us fathers, please, let's come together in these few minutes and see what God will have us learn and how we can improve on this assignment, divine assignment that God has given us as fathers. This afternoon, we'll be looking at the life of a man, an unknown man in scriptures. His name was not mentioned, neither do we even know where the particular tribe in Israel he came from. All we know is that he was an Israelite and he was also a prophet. But at the time we met him, we didn't really meet him in person. We met his wife after he had died. And after his death, a man came and wanted to take his two sons into slavery because according to the man, the prophet owed him some money which he didn't pay before he died. And I can imagine the frantic situation this woman, this poor widow, found herself. Bad and painful as the death of her husband was, the presence of two sons was a relief because they would grow up and take care of her. But here she was faced with a very painful reality. And the reality was that those sons were going to be sold into slavery because their father owed some money. It is also it won't be wrong to say that there was no relative to bail them out of that predicament. Yes, but the woman rose up to the challenge. The poor widow rose up to the challenge and frantically went to search for Prophet Elisha. And when she met Elisha, he said, "My husband, your servant, is gone, is dead." He said, "And the creditors have come to take his two sons." But there's a statement she made, and that's where I want us to dwell this afternoon. He said, "My husband," he said, "You know very well that my husband feared God." You know very well that my husband feared God. And Elisha told her, "What do you have in your house?" He said, "I have a little jar of oil." He said, "Go borrow vessels and lock yourself and your children in the house and pour the oil." And they did that and they had so much oil. She went back to Prophet Elisha, who told her to go sell the oil, pay her debt, and live on the rest. And never, we didn't encounter her again. I guess they took her from that note. But my attention this morning, my work this morning is to draw our attention to the fact that the man had a reputation. He had a reputation, and that reputation was that he feared God. And that reputation came in handy when the poor wife, the poor widow, ran to Prophet Elisha. Now, we see two scenarios here. One scenario was that the man had left a legacy of trouble, maybe unconsciously, indirectly, he didn't mean it. He had borrowed money and couldn't pay. But in spite of that, his good, his positives overcame the negative. The fact that he was a prophet and he feared God. Those may have been considerations that made Elisha intervene on the behalf of this woman. And the question I want to ask is, as a man, if your wife found yourself in that situation, God forbid, you won't die young, but let's assume that is your name enough? Is your reputation enough to cater for your family in your absence? As a man, if your wife were to go to your office or to people who know you in your absence and say, I'm the wife of Mr. So, 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 so. You know my husband. He was this, he was that, he was this. Would people want to listen to your wife? Is your reputation enough to sustain your family in your absence? And I ask this because I've seen it in life. A man dies and nobody cares about the family. In fact, a number of people like, make it go. There are people like that. I read the story of something that happened in one of the institutions in the West where a helmsman, chief executive, was retiring, and people had the party. They made posters where they showed, they said, since you came, see what you did, and all the bad things he did, and they were happy that he was leaving. They were happy. I mean, are you that kind of person? You are a boss in your office. What kind of boss are you? I hope you understand that you won't be there forever. Tomorrow, these young officers, you think, oh, they are just struggling. They just came into the system. They become the directors. If your child goes to that office tomorrow and meets one of the young officers working under you now, who will be the director then, will your child be assured of a, a good reception? Will people be happy to see him? Will people be eager to do things for him? Can your wife go to a cycle of people and say, you know, my husband is a good man. My husband has done this, he has done that. He loved people, he was kind to people. What is your testimonial? What is your reputation? You know, and along the same lines, there's a story of how Jesus Christ, a centurion, had a servant who was sick and sent to Jesus Christ, said, Lord Jesus, come, my servant is sick. And people that were there said, this man has been good to us. He has built a synagogue for us. And Jesus Christ said, I'm coming. And before he went, the man said, don't even bother to come. Just say it. Because I know I also am a man under authority. When Dorcas died, the poor widows, they came after she had died, and they were showing Peter the garments she made for them. What garments are you making for the poor? What legacies are you building today, sir, that will feed and sustain your children tomorrow? The things that sustained that man's family after his death were his good works, the fact that he feared God. When Jonathan died and he didn't leave any inheritance for any money for his son. I mean, I can imagine where they left the throne was, you know. But guess what? His goodwill became an umbrella, not just an umbrella, a tower under which his son found safety and life. What are you building today for your children, sir? You're a police officer, you're an army officer, you're a civil servant, you're a businessman, you're a school teacher. What are you doing today that would be a watershed for your children and your family tomorrow? And I can imagine that woman, after selling that oil, paid her debts. And of course, she became a businesswoman and they were fine. So is your reputation enough to sustain your family in your absence as a man? In your dealings with people, are you kind? Are you considerate? Or are you just living life as if nothing they happen? Bro, something they happen. Please, my fellow fathers, I want to appeal to us this morning. Let us take a step. Let us take conscious steps to ensure that we are building good legacies. They may be small. It doesn't matter how small. Just be good. Because the tree you plant today will bear the fruits that will nurture your children tomorrow. I don't know how it works, but it does work. The one day I wrote a story about how Jonathan's goodness saved Mephibosheth. And the woman testified. He said many years ago, she went to a place called Oro in Kwara State, and there was a festival. And she got, I don't know how she found herself there. And she would have been killed. But just at the mention of her father's name, a man she had never met, say, are you this man's daughter? That's what saved her from death. Yes. What are you doing today, sir, that will ensure that those your children escape death tomorrow, escape destruction? What are you doing today that will make your children go to that five-star company looking for a job, and your former school student is there? Somebody you helped many years ago is there, and with the moment he hears your name, he says, "Just leave this young man. He has gotten the job because I know his father." Please, I beg you, fathers, let's be let's be deliberate about doing good, not just for us, but for our children's sake. Thank you.